with the findings of its investigations, the specific actions taken against the officers involved, and the institutional measures being put in place to prevent future attacks on journalists. Any further silence will be interpreted as complicity and an attempt to shield wrongdoing. We also re-echo our demand for the removal of the PRO of the Ghana National Fire Service from the position, because our interactions with him on the case show that he is unfit, unprofessional to be in charge of communication for the Ghana National Fire Service. The GJA reiterates its call on the Inspector General of Police (IGP) to thoroughly investigate and cause the prosecution of all personnel involved in this criminal act. We stress that internal disciplinary measures alone are insufficient. This is a criminal matter that must be tested in a court of law to serve as a clear deterrent. Attack on UTV and Peace FM journalists in the Eastern region, Koprentumi to be precise. The GJA condemns in the strongest possible terms the violent assault on UTV and Peace FM Eastern Regional Correspondent Mr. Michael Akrofi by a police officer stationed at the Tafo Koprentumi Formed Police Unit FPU base in the Eastern region on the 8th of this month. The journalist was lawfully covering a demonstration by farmers protesting against the destruction of their crops by Fulani herdsmen and their cattle when he was allegedly attacked from behind by the police officer. According to the incident report, the officer strangled the journalist on 3 separate occasions, causing severe pain and trauma. Even more disturbing, the officer is said to have threatened the journalist after the assault, compounding the gravity of the incident. As a result of the attack, Mr. Akrofi complained of pains in the neck, back, and waist, and was compelled to seek medical attention at a health facility. The matter has since been formally reported to the Eastern Regional Police Commander, who is currently covering up, protecting and shielding one of their own. However, as at the time of this press conference, no official response or feedback has been given to the victim, a situation the GJA finds unacceptable. This act of brutality is barbaric, unprofessional, and a gross abuse of power. It constitutes a direct attack on press freedom and the constitutional right of journalists to work without fear, intimidation, or violence, especially during public interest assignments such as demonstrations. The GJA therefore demands the immediate identification, arrest, and prosecution of the police officer involved. I take that one again. The GJA therefore demands the immediate identification, arrest, and prosecution of the police officer involved. We call on the Inspector General of Police and the Eastern Regional Police Command to ensure that this matter is treated as a criminal offense and not merely an internal disciplinary issue. Acts of impunity by security officers against journalists must not be tolerated under any circumstances. Report of assault by military personnel in Waliwali, Northeast region. Colleagues, another disturbing report we have received was an unprovoked assault by military personnel on a journalist in Waliwali in the Northeast region. The victim, Mr. Samuel Kwame Kanaluwe, a Northeast regional correspondent of Media General, and the secretary of the GJA Northeast region, was assaulted on Sunday, January 26, 2026, at about 3 p.m. while lawfully going about his private and professional life in Waliwali. According to the report submitted to the GJA, Mr. Kanluwe had parked his motorcycle near a roadside store in town to purchase basic supplies when he was approached by a group of military personnel who were already present in the area. Without provocation, the soldiers questioned the ownership of his motorcycle, and before he could adequately respond, subjected him to a physical assault. Two of the military personnel allegedly beat the journalist on the back with sticks and canes approximately 4 times, claiming that he had parked at an unauthorized location. Even after Kanluwe identified himself as a journalist, the assault with FM, the T-shirt of his media house, and that must be put on record. He was detained for a while and released after his phone was seized and some pictures and messages deleted from the phone. In fact, they recycled the phone or reset. How did they call it? They flashed the phone. They flashed the phone so that he wouldn't get any information or data on the phone. So if the military was doing something right, was lawfully exercising their powers, why would they seize his phone after subjecting him to inhuman attack? Seize his phone, flash his phone, so he wouldn't get any information. And even messages that were sent earlier to people on that day were all deleted before the phone was recycled. This is how inhuman some people can be. This conduct is unacceptable, unlawful, and deeply troubling. It reflects a dangerous disregard for the right of civilians and journalists and undermines public confidence in the professionalism of the Ghana Armed Forces. The GJA condemned this assault in the strongest terms and calls on the military high command to immediately investigate the incident, identify the personnel involved, and apply appropriate sanctions. We further demand that the matter be treated with the seriousness it deserves and that the victim is offered protection and support. Attacks on journalists by military personnel, whether in the line of duty or otherwise, are completely intolerable and must not be normalized under any circumstances. We spoke earlier today. I reached out to the military command on the matter, even though they did not make any official or formal position. They said that they will await for our pressure and they will react accordingly. But I want to put on record that the information we have picked from some quarters, which indicate that the journalist was not well dressed or did not follow the protocols. And for that matter, it was not easily identified, couldn't be identified as a journalist. It's false, it's a palpable false. Because the reporter or the journalist in question was not there to even discharge his official duty or was not even there to even cover what they were doing. He was just there as a private citizen and journalist who lives in the area and has parked his motor to just get some stuffs from a nearby shop. He wasn't there to discharge any official duty or assignment. And even with that, he was in the attack of his media institution, Onya TV, Onya FM. And so if the military people claims that whatever is happening is false, why did they recycle his phone? Because there were evidence preserved on the phone. And due to fear of public intimidation and public outcry, the court of public opinion attack on their barbaric act, they have to recycle the innocent or the unprovoked journalist who was recycled his phone. So no information can be traced. We will await the position of the military command. We are very much keenly and interested in the matter, and we are ready to react and respond to any position they come out with. We hope that they will be very fair, firm, objective, and candid with their position. This is the media they are talking about. They can't use our own media. You can't issue a statement which will be contrary to the truth and expect our people to cover it, to give you the needed mileage. We will await the position of the military high command on this matter. Colleagues, it will be recorded that on July 30th, 2025, Carlos Caloni, a journalist with multimedia group Joy News, was physically assaulted by armed individuals in military attire while covering a demolition exercise at the McDan warehouse on the Sprinters Road in Accra. It is quite unfortunate that the military high command attempted. The military was said to be a disciplinary institution. There are people who do not involve themselves in such a barbaric and indisciplined act. But this time around, the latest attack in Waliwali, as we said, will turn the respected image of the military. We once again urge the military high command to demonstrate the professionalism it is known for by acting swiftly on these two incidents. Threat against journalists in the Upper East Region Boko conflict. We will make all our demands known at the end of the presser. Before I finish, our demand will be made clearly on all the cases we are touching on. So threats against journalists in the Upper East Region Boko conflict. Boko as a warning zone for press safety. The Ghana Journalists Association is gravely alarmed by death threats, incitement to violence, and imminent attacks against journalists in the Upper East Region, particularly the Upper East Regional Chairman of the GJA, Mr. Abed, in connection with their professional coverage of the protracted Boko conflict. The association considers these threats reckless, criminal, and deeply dangerous, not only to the lives of journalists, but also to public order and national security. Journalists covering the Boko conflict have been openly labeled enemies, subjected to coordinated online abuse, and threatened with death through social media posts, voice notes, and other forms of digital incitement. This deliberate targeting of journalists has created an atmosphere of fear and intimidation that could easily escalate into mob violence if not urgently addressed. The GJA has received a detailed incident report from Mr. Abed, outlining how a professional journalistic engagement was maliciously distorted and weaponized by faceless and hostility and issue explicit death threats against him and other journalists. Similar threats have previously been directed at other media practitioners covering the Boko conflict, pointing to a disturbing and recurring pattern of intimidation aimed at silencing the media. While the association acknowledges the initial engagement and collaboration with the Upper East Regional Police Command, we remain concerned that the persistence of this threat suggests that existing measures are insufficient. The GJA therefore calls for sustained police protection for affected journalists, expedited investigation into all reported threats, and the identification, arrest, and prosecution of all individuals and networks involved in issuing threats or inciting violence against journalists. We further call on the Ghana Police Service to publicly reaffirm in clear and unambiguous terms that threats or attacks against journalists will not be tolerated under any circumstances. Any harm to a journalist in the course of duty, particularly where prior threats have been reported, will represent a grave failure of protection and accountability, and a threat to our national security. The National Executive has formally, and I want to state here, we have formally petitioned the Inspector General of Police, IGP, on threat against journalists in the Upper East region for its intervention and immediate action. The GJA reiterates that journalists are performing a constitutional duty in the national interest. Attempts to intimidate, silence, or endanger them in the context of the Boko conflict are unacceptable and must be confronted decisively by the state. The association formally designates the Boko conflict area as an early warning zone for press safety, requiring heightened vigilance, proactive security deployment, and continuous engagement with media practitioners on the ground. The GJA will not accept a reactive approach where action is only taken after harm has been done. We therefore put the state on notice that any attack on a journalist in the Upper East region, particularly where prior threats have been formally reported, will be treated as a direct failure of protection and will attract sustained national and international advocacy until accountability is secured. However, we reiterate our call for sustained protection, expedited investigations, and the arrest and prosecution of all persons issuing threats or inciting violence against journalists. Commendation of the Ghana Police Service. The GJA acknowledges the improved collaboration with the Ghana Police Service in recent times and commends the police administration under the leadership of Inspector General of Police Christian Yonwulu for its engagement with the Association on Journalist Safety. We encourage the police to deepen this cooperation and ensure that rogue officers who tarnish the image of the service are decisively dealt with. We must, however, hasten to add that the Tafo Kokrentumi attack has dented this newly cordial relationship, and we urge the police, especially the IGP, to act swiftly to provide further assurance of safety for journalists. The IGP, later part of last year, assured us that if nobody protects a journalist, he will personally ensure the protection and safety of journalists in this country. This he demonstrated during the by-election at Akwitia. And he has demonstrated that till this very incident. And we believe that we shouldn't sit down for this incident, this attack to me, to dent that record, to destroy the kind of relationship he has built with the media over the past few months, and the assurances and the love demonstrated to media, and even during a statement or comment at the dinner, the third GJA dinner night. We believe that the Inspector General of Police will use these officers as scapegoats to redeem his image and to assure the media that it still stands by his words. MPP Presidential Primary and Safety of Journalists. The GJA reiterates its call on the leadership of the new Patriotic Party to take full responsibility for the safety of journalists during its upcoming presidential primary to elect a flag bearer. We urge the party to clearly and publicly caution its supporters against attacking, intimidating, or obstructing journalists who will be deployed to cover the process. Political competition must never be allowed to degenerate into violence against the media. The GJA will be actively monitoring the entire election process through our regional structures across the country and will not hesitate to name and shame any individual or group that assault journalists in the course of this assignment. GJA red lines, non-negotiable standards for journalist safety. And these are red lines. In light of the escalating threats and attacks, the Ghana Journalists Association hereby set out the following red lines, which must never be crossed under any circumstances. No journalist must be assaulted, arrested, threatened, or obstructed for performing lawful professional duties, whether by state security officers, political party supporters, or private individuals. 2. No security agency is permitted to confiscate journalist equipment, delete content, or demand permission for coverage of events of public interest. What are you hiding? What do you have to hide? We are public interest media, and we don't need authorization. We don't need consent. We don't need approval to discharge our constitutional mandate as a public interest media. If it is your private engagement, fine. But once you are serving the nation, the interest of the public, no journalist need any authorization from any uniform officer or whatever to discharge their duty. 3. No reported threat against a journalist must be ignored or treated casually. All threats must trigger immediate risk assessment, protection, and investigation. 4. Internal disciplinary measures alone are unacceptable where criminal conduct against journalists has occurred. Such cases must be prosecuted in open court. Silence by institutions after attacks on journalists is unacceptable and will be interpreted as tolerance for impunity. And I take the 5 again. Silence by institutions after attacks on journalists is unacceptable and will be interpreted as tolerance for impunity. The GJA will vigorously pursue accountability for any violation of these red lines and will not hesitate to escalate matters to national and international partners where necessary. Our international partners are waiting on us to brief them with all the happenings in the country and will not hesitate to do so. GJA's demands. In light of the foregoing, the Ghana Journalists Association demands the following. 1. A public release of the investigation findings and sanctions by the Ghana National Fire Service. A public release of the investigation findings and sanctions by the Ghana National Fire Service. We are giving the fire service a 14 days ultimatum. We are giving the fire service a 14-day ultimatum to act on this request, failing which will take drastic measures against them, including and not limited to blacklisting. Failing which will take drastic measures against them, including but not limited to blacklisting. The immediate release of the PRO of the Ghana National Fire Service. This cannot be compromised. We can't work with him. Failure to do so, the GJA will have to take a position and advise our members and all media practitioners in the country as such on our position. So within these 14 days, we expect them to do these 2 things. Or reassign him, we don't care. Should we move him from there? We cannot deal with him. And let me also add that we are not only leaving the issue of criminal investigation alone or for the internal sanctions alone. We have taken both steps. As we speak now, our lawyers are busily preparing summons to take civil action against the perpetrators of this erroneous attack, of this barbaric attack, which occurred in Kaswa. First, as you may all recall, they were defending and saying that the officers in question have not even been identified, and they cannot even confirm whether they are their officers or whether they work for them. That was how it came. Later, they said the journalist was not attacked. They only seized his phone and deleted pictures. Now, we have all heard from the president, who has directed the immediate addition of this officer. So where are the officers? Now we know the officers now. Now it is very clear that they are officers of the Ghana National Fire Service. They are staff of the Ghana National Fire Service for that matter. And so we have the full details. And so aside the prosecution, we have the support of the media house, Class Media Group Limited, as well as the victim, that is our colleague who was also assaulted. We have the full support to take civil action, to take legal action against these officers. So we are going to ensure that all the actions are enforced or are enforced. So take note. This time around, we are not leaving it here just at the press conferences and talking. We are taking action. And once it is served, once we served the court case on them, the media will be duly informed. GJA, still on the GJA demands. The second one, or the third, the immediate arrest and prosecution of the police officer involved in the Kokrantumi assault. And that is what we've called the IGP, we've called on IGP to do daily. 4, clear directives from all security services prohibiting the assault, obstruction, or intimidation of journalists. 5, firm political party commitment to protect journalists during all political activities, including internal elections. The next one is the immediate investigation, arrest, prosecution of the military officers involved in the Wale who were tempted to give ultimatum for us to finish with their presser so that they can react, or they will also come out with their reaction. We will wait for the reaction of the military command. And after that, we will come out and make our position known. We still have our ultimatum, and we know that because already there is a pending case involved Joy FM's Carol's promise to give us daily or periodic briefing updates on the matter, which they failed. And they've not spoken about this matter till date. So this one is a second issue they are handling. And we are saying that they should take swift action on this matter, or we will advise ourselves. The military needs us, we also need them. But they should know that they cannot subject us to inhuman treatment and put our lives in danger for anything. We are serving our nation. And for that matter, we need their protection, not the attack. We will, in the coming days, come out with a firmer stance on the attacks after a high-level engagement with key stakeholders in the media. We are calling on key stakeholder engagement, which is happening this week. Heads of media institutions, editors, past GJA executives, our key partner institutions or sister institutions, GIBA, Primpact, then we are all meeting to take a firm position. We encourage all journalists across the country to be strong, fearless, and unwavering in the discharge of their duties for Mother Ghana, for God and country. Violence in our country. Colleagues, the GJA unequivocally condemn the alarming and recurrent attacks on civilians by law enforcement agencies across the country. This act of brutality, intimidation, and excessive use, violation of the fundamental that institutions entrusted with the protection of citizens are increasingly associated with fear, violence, and lawlessness. Such conduct not only endangers innocent lives, but also erodes public confidence in the state's ability and willingness to uphold justice, accountability, and the rule of law. The GJA is gravely concerned that violence in the Ghanaian society is fast getting out of hand, with law enforcement agencies repeatedly at the center of this disturbing incident. We have just January alone, the fire service, the police, the military, it's like they have gone for a caucus meeting and they've decided after all night service, maybe they made a resolution that this year they will be attacking us in badges. This is what we'll do and this is what we'll follow. No, it won't happen under our watch. The GJA is gravely concerned that violence in the Ghanaian society is fast getting out of hand, like I said, with law enforcement agencies repeatedly at the center of this disturbing incident. This dangerous trend must not be normalized. We therefore demand immediate and decisive action from the authorities to bring an end to this culture of impunity. Officers who engage in an act of violence against civilians must be promptly identified, interdicted, and prosecuted without hesitation. Failure to act decisively will only embolden further abuses and fuel public resentment, deepen fear, mistrust, insecurity, and weaken the democratic foundations of our country. Quite recently, the President of the Republic of Ghana, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, promised to arrange a meeting with the security chiefs, that's security couples, security chiefs and the executives of the Ghana Journalists Association to help ease tension between the media and the security agencies. Mr. President, our distinguished member, a proud member, disturbing development involving some security agencies. The time to call for such meeting is now. The President is a member of the GJA, as I've said, and has consistently demonstrated his interest in the welfare of journalists throughout his political career. We therefore believe he will convene the meeting as soon as possible. Gentlemen, let it be stated clearly and without equivocation. Attacks on journalists are attacks on Ghana's democracy and constitutional order. No institution, security agency, or political actor has the moral or legal authority to brutalize, threaten, or silence journalists for doing their work. The Ghana Journalists Association will not be intimidated into silence, nor will accept. We will not be intimidated into silence, nor will we accept ritual condemnation followed by inaction. What we will escalate locally and internationally until accountability is secure. We remind our duty bearers that press freedom is not a privilege granted by the state, but a constitutional right guaranteed under the 1992 law and human right. We also want to encourage and caution our members to also be circumspect, to discharge their duty professionally, to ensure that they always fact-check their report before putting it out there, to preserve evidence when they come under fear or any attack, to always be easily identifiable by putting on your jacket, your branded cars, your ID cards at all times, to remain resolute, to be cautious, and to ensure that they discharge their duty constitutionally, ethically, without fear, favor, or panic. Knowing very well that press freedom comes with responsibility. Media responsibility is key whenever you are discharging your duty. The GJA remains resolute in defending the lives, rights, and professional independence of journalists across Ghana. We will continue to monitor development, speak truth to power, and act decisively in the interest of journalists. Long live press freedom. Long live the Ghana Journalists Association. Long live Ghana's democracy. Thank you all for your audience.
Thank you, Mr. President. We'll now take a few questions. Whilst I wait for the questions, we want to reiterate the point that where journalists are attacked, we demand justice. Where journalists are threatened, we demand protection. We all know that what we do as journalists, the work we do as journalists, we are contributing to the development of this country. If we don't work, if we don't have journalists working in this country, you can imagine the state of this country that we call Ghana. So our work is very important, and we demand that we are accorded the respect, we are accorded all that we needed to, or we need to discharge our duty for this country. So now, question time. If you have any question, let's get you come to the podium. You mention your name, your media house, and then your question. Yes, please come.
TV. Mr. President, do you believe journalists or GJA is pushing for reforms to strengthen press freedom? Thank you.
Any more? Any more questions? Mr. President, he's asking about the existing legal regimes, whether they are enough to protect journalists in this country. Okay, we have one. Please come up here. Mention.
Thank you very much. My name is Jifata Tete. I'm a freelance journalist. Mr. President, I think mine is not really a question, but it is an assurance I want from you. My observation is that you are coming together to plead on behalf of the culprits, and this is very difficult. This makes things very difficult for the media to tell you that, please, traditional leaders, family heads, and all those people who like to intervene. In the recent attack, I heard something very heartbreaking. They said, if we're calling for the dismissal of these officers, we should know that it is very difficult to get a job now. And I'm thinking, are we also not people's children? Don't our interests matter? What we feel, doesn't it matter? I think that as a society, we also have to know that what we are doing is paying off, and then the society appreciates us. Thank you.
Thank you. That's a little emotional about what we do, and the fact that when we fight for the rights of journalists, and when journalists are attacked, you get people coming pursued in the court, or we should not escalate the issue. Sometimes we also have our own colleagues, people who are attacked. We want a collective support. So now your question about enough legal provisions out there that protect journalists. The Constitution is supreme. It is an attitudinal thing where people just get up and feel that they have what it takes. They have the power, or they are wearing the uniform. They call themselves a buying, which is like government. You get it? So for you to call yourself one are buying, and they take that power of the state to attack people, which is something that we all abhor, and we are calling for it to end. And for the laws, we think we have what it takes to protect journalists. So we want you to send a message out there that the GJA is resolved, is resolute about this issue of attacks against journalists. We want this to end. Like I always say, we say journalism is not a crime. And so whatever we do, we are doing it for the betterment of this country. And there is no one has the right to attack us for what we are doing. So we reiterate our calls on the security agencies to ensure that the attacks end, and those who have been attacked, we get closure to the issues. Thank you very much for coming. We are grateful for your presence. We hope that you give us a very good coverage of what we've given you today. Thank you very much.
So, General Secretary will share the soft copy with you.
Yeah, you
All
got
of
this.
you can get a copy from the General Secretary.
We also have my number.
But many general managers.